Hey again, it's Mr. Lum, and we're going to talk today about acid rain, and what is it, and what is rain normally like, and yeah, and what can we do about it. Anyways, rain is, I wrote here at this point, rain is naturally acidic because it mixes with CO2 and makes H2CO3. So before humans have ever come to the earth, rain has always been a little bit acidic, okay, because of the CO2 in our atmosphere. So what is happening is that CO2 in our atmosphere is combining with water, and it's making H2CO3, which is a weak acid. And what is happening is that this right here is just natural, and it's going to make rainwater have a slightly acidic pH. The pH of rain is going to be around 6. Okay, so pH of rain, so natural rain, usually has a pH that is around maybe 6 or maybe around 5.5, somewhere between here. Okay, somewhere between maybe 6 and 5.5. Okay, once you're getting into a pH that is less than 5.5, then it is called acid rain. Okay, so but if it's like pH 5.6 or maybe even a pH of 6 or 5.5, that's not acid rain. Okay, what we commonly call acid rain is like a type of pollution from industries. Okay, so if you have like an industry that is, and I wrote that right here, if you have some kind of industry, like a factory, and the factory is burning a lot of fossil fuels that contain sulfur, that is what causes acid rain. So what these factories are going to be doing, they're going to be putting into our atmosphere maybe something like SO2, and that's going to be combining with the water in our atmosphere, and it's going to be making something like H2SO3 or sulfurous acid. Okay, or maybe one of these factories is releasing some SO3, and that is going to again combine with some water and make H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, a strong acid. Okay, and when you have this in our atmosphere, this is going to be lowering the pH. The pH will be less than 5.5, and that is called acid rain. Okay, and it's usually from like fossil fuels that contain sulfur that are put into our atmosphere. Now, what is acid rain? Well, we talked about it. It's just when you have a pH that's less than 5.5 due to the sulfurous acid, which is this one right here, and sulfuric acid. Okay, and sometimes a few other types of acid like nitric acid or something like that. But it's when you have all this acid rain and it's coming down, what can it do to our environment? Well, sometimes you can get systems that are like lakes, and these lakes, well, there's usually mountains beside lakes or hills, and you have these lakes in between in these valley areas like this. And inside these lakes live fish, very happy fish. And what happens is the acid rains down on the mountainside, and on this mountainside, and of course it just rains directly into the lake. And what happens is that it causes this to turn acidic, and it can kill the fish, it can kill the plants that are in the lake, and it can can really, really damage lakes. Now, some lakes have protection from this because they contain a type of stone that is surrounding the lake called limestone. And limestone is made up of calcium carbonate, CaCO3, capital O, CaCO3. Okay? And in other words, it contains CO3 2-, and that is a weak base. Remember that? You can find that on your acid-base chart. And CO3 can combine with certain chemicals, and it can make it can kind of almost buffer the lake, so the pH doesn't decrease very much. So you can have something like, say, if H2SO4 started to come into the lake, and around the lake is a lot of calcium carbonate or limestone, and some of it CaCO3. So you have a lot of calcium carbonate in the lake and around the lake, along these mountainsides like this. And what it can do is that calcium carbonate can combine with some of the sulfates right here and kind of almost neutralize this strong acid that's coming in. Okay? And it won't be so, it'll help the lake not decrease its pH very much. Okay? And so there are many lakes in and around Ontario, and some lakes don't have this limestone, and those lakes have been completely destroyed by the acid rain. And some lakes do have limestone, and they're pretty much fine. The fish are living in there, and there's lots and lots of plants that are living in there, and a lot of algae. But the lakes that didn't have the limestone and acid rain did affect them, there's very, very little life that's left in there. Okay, so this is kind of a natural protection against acid rain. And yeah, so there's a lot of different things that can protect some of these lakes against acid rain. And now that we've kind of cleaned up our practice in industries and kind of have a little bit less pollution in the air, we get a little bit less acid rain, and hopefully we won't have too much problems with that kind of stuff. But anyways, we can talk more about that in class.